Hi everyone, Morgan here. So this is part of a blackout lights out series that's going to be talking about a bunch of things to be prepared for lights out, whether short term or long term. So be sure to check out the rest of the videos down below in the playlist in the description. So today we're going to be talking about alternative cooking methods. So of course there's going to be gas and or natural gas or propane or whatever you might use for your cooking. Of course, that does take a fuel, so if you are connected to natural gas, in which you can't really control, that's something you're going to have to keep in mind. While it may be going forever and ever and ever, who knows? If it's like a super long-term thing, it may actually eventually be shut off at some point. Maybe not. Propane is something that you may or may not have control over. Usually, if it's propane, you're going to be the one that has control over it, meaning you have some sort of propane system outside your home somewhere, so propane tank that you're pulling from. So you're going to get it filled and it's going to last however long, depending on your cooking needs, right? Depending on whatever you use propane for. So those are definitely a couple options. The next option is going to be something like a Coleman here. We've used a Coleman exclusively for a couple months before we got our stovetop here. And I really loved using it. It was great for emergencies. Well, it was great for those 2 months that we used it, and it'll be great for emergencies. There's also going to be a barbecue. If you have any sort of barbecue, that's going to be really good. Of course, always keep in mind the fuel sources. The Coleman is going to take propane, whether it's the big bottles, little bottles, whatever we want to do, it's going to take propane. The barbecue could either take propane or charcoal. Maybe you could make a fire in it, however you wanted to do that. I'm not sure. Depends on the type of barbecue, right? And then of course there's fire. You can just have like a little fire pit outside. You can make like a rocket stove out of bricks. You could just have like a regular fire pit with a grate over it. As you see, I'm showing pictures and things. You could have just like an outdoor kitchen that maybe has a wood-fired oven. Those are really nice. The wood ovens, wood stoves, oh, so nice. If you can have something like that, those are so cool and super convenient, whether indoors or outdoors. You can make a little designated outdoor kitchen if you ever wanted to. Those are really cool ideas as well. And then there's going to be other options such as like alcohol stoves, buddy burners, and there's a variety of other ways. If it has some sort of heat source, you could use it, but we have to keep in mind our resources, and not just our resources, but we have to keep in mind the fact that our resources may not be as abundant in certain scenarios. So we want to be prepared and prep those resources, those fuel resources that we're going to need for those cooking options. But at the same time, we need to understand that if we can't access it at a certain point, what's going to be our backup to that, right? So other than that, also efficiency, you don't want to be standing there, waiting for something to cook for, ever using a bunch of resources when, you could be using a more efficient resource. So like cooking by candles, while it may or may not work for some people, it's not maybe the most efficient option because you're one, using candles, and two, candles are usually not going to be an efficient resource. So you want to try to find the most efficient resources possible at your disposal. But since we are preppers and since we know that, these things can happen, then I want you to be prepared with multiple efficient, effective options that are going to be good for you in a variety of situations, whether you can use your barbecue outdoors or whether you have to use something indoors, like maybe the Coleman or something like that. So you have to have, I would suggest you have to have at least 3 different options. Like if you have an electric stove, that's going to be out and the light's out, you're going to have to use something like a Coleman or something, or maybe you can change to a gas stove or something like that. Maybe you could, have like a wood stove in which you could, learn to cook on it, that kind of thing. So there's lots of options out there, but it's going to be dependent on your budget and, the fuel sources that are going to be easily accessible to you, how you can store the resources, these kinds of things. So there is, of course, the option of running a generator in order to run like an Instapot or something like that real quick to cook stuff. That's always an option, of course. There's never anything that's a bad idea. It's just whatever's going to work for you. If you want to turn on your generator to get something going real quick, that's up to you. Just make sure you have the fuel sources for the generator. All right, I hope that these ideas were helpful. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you will watch the rest of the videos in this Blackout Lights Out series. Thank you all so much for watching. Conquer tomorrow by preparing today. Bye-bye.